So James, SOS in a market that's pretty competitive, sports drinks, why the need for another offering? Where did you see a gap in the market?
Yeah, we saw a gap because myself and my brother, who is one of the other founders, and my wife Blanca, who's a doctor, there isn't actually a healthy sports drink, and someone so far from a commercial perspective actually hasn't solved dehydration. So when we looked into it, we were looking at, from a running background, Tom and myself were sponsored by one of the sports drinks, and we actually came up with our own concoctions to actually try and help us rehydrate better. And Blanca, having worked in Mexico and worked with all rehydration therapy, which is basically a form of for IV drips, and it's used to treat cholera patients all over the world. And she suggested, well, what about oral rehydration therapy? And we got thinking about it and then actually came up with the formula SOS, which is loosely based on the World Health Organization's oral rehydration guidelines, but focused on active lifestyles. And what you get with that is you get a product that has got 6 times the electrolytes of a normal sports drink. We have an osmolarity, and osmolarity is the ability to transport electrolytes into the system, of only 230. Water is 290. So the lower it is, the actually better it is in terms of rehydrating you. And it's got citrates that buffer lactic acid. We've got potassium and we've got magnesium. And it's basically, we've done something, and we were fortunate in doing it. We've actually solved thirst. So everyone gets thirsty. And if you're an athlete, or even if not necessarily a professional athlete, but just 2% body loss through sweat actually is equal to about a 20% loss in performance. Now, everyone's excited about the new trainers, and don't get me wrong, I like a new pair of trainers when they turn up. But imagine where you've got something like an SOS where now you've actually solved a performance enhancing, you've given a performance enhancing ability to the athlete. And this can be anybody just going down the gym because you've been working all day, you've been in aircon, you've been probably drinking caffeine of some description, you get dehydrated from caffeine, from aircon, from stress, running around, and then you get to the gym, you're dehydrated, or you go to a yoga studio, you're already dehydrated. Now you can actually put that back in you. The problem with sugary sports drinks is that they tend to sit in the gut and not hydrate you. What you do feel is you do feel a big sugar rush, but then after the sugar rush, you get a sugar crash, and everyone feels all sad about it once you finished it.
This was a career change for you because you originally came from the recruitment background. So what was the motivational force that you thought, time to give up one career and start another?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in recruitment, and I had a super company and going around the world helping with that. But it was just the fact that coming from my sporting background when I ran for Great Britain, and Tom did, and speaking to Blanca, we realised that there's an opportunity now to be a real game changer in rehydration, and it was really a big leap of faith. So end of November last year, I told my former company and said thank you very much, and we parted ways, which went very nicely, and then we just got about the process of setting it up, and we launched SOS at the end of April this year.
And what's interesting about this business is that it's been driven by people. You're all high performance athletes. Tell us about some of the names that you've brought into the business who have all brought their own skill sets and ideas to the equation, to the table.
Yeah, we've been very lucky in that respect. I mean, Scott Dixon, the IndyCar driver who's gunning for his championship at the moment, he's one of the founding investors. We've got Sir Ben Ainsley and Ben Ainsley Racing, and we've also got Hamish Carter. So they're just 3 of our big stars. But then we've also got Kim Chambers, who's a New Zealand lady that's just recently swum the channel. She's going for the 6 big ocean swims, which is pretty scary and pretty impressive. We've also got, we've just gone out there and basically we've been speaking to athletes through the people we know, but the lovely thing about it is that they're coming back to us and they're using it because it works. So as an example, Oracle Team USA, we're actually using it and going through about 1,400 packets a month during the process of the Cup because it was rehydrating their athletes and delaying and helping them recover. And the same with the New Zealand youth team. And we were super excited to be supporting the New Zealand youth team. So we've actually won 2 America's Cups through product. being used by SOS.
So it wasn't really the technology at all, it was the sports drink that was the decider for them.
Totally down to the sports drink. Obviously technology, mindly.
How did you go about developing the product and the science involved to come up with this formula, which I'm sure is obviously pretty well protected within IP circles?
Well, I'd probably have to kill you if I told you. So we loosely based it on the World Health Organization's oral rehydration therapy formula. We did have the help of a flavor house to basically help put it all together, but it became more of a mathematical equation, and that's where Blanca sort of stepped in with her understanding and knowledge of how you can sort of do it. And then we've just played with the various levels to ensure that rather than being a cholera treatment, we've actually become a dehydration preventer for active lifestyles.
Has the idea of the market and who you're targeting evolved? Because I mean, it's a relatively new product. You've only just started, so this is still very much a work in progress. So you're still really trying to define, the category and the market opportunities here.
Yeah, I mean, the market opportunity has changed. The beauty about this is the market opportunity is potentially huge because everyone gets dehydrated, and we can look after people right the way up to moderate dehydration. Anyone that's seriously dehydrated, you obviously need to go to a doctor and get medical advice and so on and so forth. But initially we focused on sport, and because that's the big education side of life, and we've got some great athletes and they're helping educate everybody, but also from a lifestyle recovery, because if you're traveling, you get dehydrated when you're flying, so therefore you take it just before you land, and that sort of helps out jet lag. You've also got the recovery side in terms of too much caffeine, maybe too much alcohol. This can they're both act as diuretics, and it rehydrates you to the correct balance. So as an example, just through exercise, you lose around between 550 and 700 milligrams of sodium per hour of exercise, and one SOS sachet gives you exactly the right amount of electrolytes, which is why it's working.
And then you've got, I'm thinking of opportunities, NGOs working in third world countries where there's, high humidity conditions. I mean, there's unlimited kind of markets for some of it.
I mean, we've already got the British military trialling it. The our US Air Force Sniper School are actually using it for their side, but then from an NGO perspective, this is where we are really excited. We obviously have to grow a little bit more, but the ability to go and assist with the likes of the Red Cross, where we can actually go in and provide oral rehydration solution to those unfortunate disaster zones, then that's something that could be really exciting.
How much did you research the market and to validate the idea, or did you just kind of feel in your gut that this was what was needed from your own experience and went out and put it together?
No, we spent an awful lot of time both on the research from a medical perspective, because we want to get it right, and two, we don't just want to be another flavoured sports drink where you add a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So we spent an awful lot of time going through that, and we're actually just about to launch a research study with AUT here in New Zealand to look into it. So we've got more research to back up our theories. But as well as that, it is also coming back to chatting to all our sporting friends and actually saying, well, what do you do? And pretty much everyone makes their own concoction. So here was something that we just realised that, right, here's an opportunity. Let's take a leap of faith. And so far it's been a blooming good adventure. So
how have you sought to differentiate yourself in the category, given the fairly crowded space and the fact that everybody's claiming the benefits in these sorts of drinks? How have you sought to position yourself perhaps in a fairly unique sort of a category?
I think two easy ones. We're a medical grade type of hydration, and no one else can actually say that. And the other one is it's more about education. So we don't mind taking a little bit of time talking to people and making sure they understand. But when you've got the amount of electrolytes that we have and you see the results of people taking it, then it starts sort of taking off, and this whole word of mouth activity has just been super. And that's really where it's proving, the whole word of mouth and education. Yes, it is a crowded space, but I think people are looking for a healthy alternative. They're no longer looking for this sugary drink that's got 60, 70, 200 odd calories. They want something that can give them instant performance without tearing their teeth down.
Clever name, SOS. How did that come about?
That actually came about on our kitchen floor after a day at the winery. But it stems from SOS, international symbol of help. And I was in the army for 6 years, and obviously SOS is a very meaningful thing when it comes to that. And dehydration, you're actually sending out an SOS, help me, I'm dehydrated, and here we are, get an SOS and we'll come and save you.
The response from the market has been pretty positive. You managed to secure the Wall Street Journal in your first week. That would be an ultimate marketing coup for any organisation to get. How have you felt that the market has responded to the product today?
It's been better than we could have imagined. So the Wall Street Journal was super. And then we were very fortunate in the States as a forum called the BevNet Beverage Industry Awards, and we were the best new sports drinker 2013, and we were actually top 10 new beverage right across all categories in the States this year, and that was in end of May. And then from that, it's just been people taking on board, wow, this thing actually works. We had a super article in the New Zealand Herald where I was actually explaining a little bit more about SOS, and all that has been able to gather momentum. And then we're just in talks with one of the world's largest retail chains to start rolling out to there, which for 6 months worth of work is definitely getting there, but it's going to keep going forever.
And what's also interesting about the way you've structured the sales process, because you've effectively just targeted the two markets, San Francisco and New Zealand, both roughly about the same size. So you've taken a very deliberate approach to the rollout of the product. Yeah,
we have. It helps because Tom, one of the founders, lives here. I live in San Francisco with Blanca. But the beauty about New Zealand and the US, one, from a logistical point of view, it's only a 12-hour flight. Our production is based out of LA, so it's very easy to get to New Zealand, be it by flight, which is only a couple of weeks in terms of door to door, but also it's 2 different seasons. So as an example here, we've just finished the winter here in New Zealand, where we've sponsored the Winter Games, and we learnt an awful lot about the winter life cycle. And in San Francisco, it's been the whole summer cycle. So we've learnt a lot about that. So the information that we've learnt from the summer, we're passing across to the New Zealand and the learns we learnt here in winter, we're now going to start taking that over to San Francisco and obviously Lake Tahoe and so on and so forth.
You've kept staffing numbers very tight, 6 or 7. So there's a lot of kind of almost virtual elements of this business to clearly keep your costs under control.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's a bootstrapping exercise. We've been very fortunate having some really good friends and family involved to help us get it off the ground. We're now looking for that sort of next step, but I don't think we want to try and keep it as tight as possible, because the money we're spending at the moment is probably more tailored towards marketing, because it is an education. Staff on the ground is important, but we'll staff up when we need to with the right people. If we see an absolute rock star, then we'll try and get them on board any way we can. But at the moment, it's spend our money wisely. We've got a big competition ahead of us in terms of getting out there. We're doing a good job to start with, but really it's about education, and we'd rather our money go into that area, education and research.
Social media, I'm thinking, is going to play a role in the marketing process?
Yeah, huge. I think this is one way where we can actually compete against the big guns, because we haven't got the marketing budgets of your super large sports drinks but what we have got is an ability to get the word out there, and using social media wisely. If we get that right, we can grow our Facebook likes, and we can grow our Twitter, and we can get people interacting. And what we really want, we call it our rehydrated world. So every time you've had an SOS, for the first time, you become part of our rehydrated world. And we want to hear people's stories. We want to hear people excited about it. We want it just to become almost like a community. And I think if we do that right, and so far it's building up, this is what we're just super excited about. Because to us, SOS it's a community. We're here to help people with dehydration. If you're not dehydrated, you can go further, faster, longer, stronger, and have a lot more fun doing it. And I think that's where we're looking to get ourselves to.
What about capital issues? How have you funded the business to this point?
Shoelaces, bootstraps, and putting ourselves from the start. So initially it was myself and my brother putting in a good chunk of capital to get us to the start line. And then it was friends and family believing in our project. And now we're in a process of, we're now just looking for the next sort of round of proper fundraising to get us through the next step. I mean, launching, say, one of the retail store is going to cost an awful lot of money, but obviously the rewards are exponentially great. And it's the same with here rolling out. So we've sort of proven the concept. We've almost de-risked it slightly, and now it's about taking it to the next level. And we're looking to partner with people to just help us get there.
What have you thought of the entrepreneurship process, particularly leaving corporate life and having to be in control? How's it worked out for you, and what have you learnt along the way?
It's fun. It's slightly scary, but actually, if you don't take a risk, nothing's going to happen. I could have stayed in corporate life. It was super fun. I had a great time. But also working with my brother and my wife, we've got a really good connection between the three of us, and Sam and Trevor and Preston as well, who are the other parts of Team SOS. They've all complemented to our sort of start and getting us there, but certainly for the three core people, Blanca's obviously the brains and the beauty behind it. Myself and my brother working very closely on the logistics, the marketing, the sales, and bringing it all together. So it's been a really good adventure, and then we've got some very good board members on our side who are just kicking us in the right direction to make sure we don't fall off course.
What about your global expansion ideas? Yep. After this, you plan to move in the UK, so you've got a rollout plan for the rest, and plus you have an online offering as well too. So how much is online going to play a part in all of this?
I think actually online is obviously the biggest margin for SOS. It's also the one that's got the biggest ability to reach. So the way we're looking at online at the moment is it's almost, let's use UK as a launch potential. We're actually looking at online as our first customer, because we can actually reach more people and make the margins to almost pay for the marketing spend through online. So we can get it into UK, and then people can start buying it, and we'll use our athletes or our champions, as we call them, to assist in that process, and then get retail space on the ground. But we certainly think online could be at least a third, if not more, of our business.
And what about distribution channels other than online? Where else do you want it to be? I mean, are you effectively looking for this product to be everywhere you would expect to be able to buy it?
Yeah, I think initially it comes back to the education. So initially we're looking at niche stores, so sweat-based sports and niche stores on that side, but we're also looking from a pharmacy angle to cover both those sort of markets and regions. And the nice thing is also gyms and CrossFit studios and yoga studios and all that sort of stuff, that those places can actually, stock SOS. And then after that, it's looking at more national retail channels, and then finally looking at the distribution into sort of local convenience stores and so on and so forth. We will be looking to do a ready to drink at some stage next year, and at that stage the ready to drink is probably more suited for the convenience stores, although the nice thing about a sachet of SOS is it's credit card size, it can fit in your wallet. If you have it at the candy stand as you're coming up to checkout, you can take one and it'll help you recover from whatever adventures you've been up to.
Given the calibre of partners that you have involved, or each of whom have their own profiles, is there also opportunities for partnership associations with Nike and so forth as well? So this becomes an integrated offering.
Again, that would be super. I mean, the Nike track team are using our products and things like that. So it's something where if there's no competitive chaos between the two, it would be super to partner with something like a Nike or a New Balance or wherever. It's very much about trying to offer the best potential for everything. I mean, we're in talks at the moment about trying to set up a performance center, or sort of partner with a performance center. So therefore our athletes and other athletes can actually have a place where they can go and work out and get extra fitness advice, and we can then roll that out to the rest of our rehydrated world. So therefore we offer that little bit more. The only thing I'm going to say is the fact that first and foremost, we're a hydration drink. We don't want to be anything else. We're not an energy drink. We're here to solve that problem, and that's the main focus.
And just finally, if we think about the brand and the product, where would you like to see it? I mean, you're right at the starting line at the moment. Where would you like to see it, say, in another 5 years' time?
5 years' time, I think it would be great to be the leading hydration product here in New Zealand, to have launched in UK and to at least be up there. And within the States, we've certainly got ourselves into a position where we are owning the lifestyle recovery space, and we have got ourselves firmly rooted into San Francisco, LA, New York, Chicago, the main hubs, and everyone knows what SOS is. I think it's an exciting brand, it's an exciting concept, and it's doing something that no one else has done so far.